I just want to put a reminder out there that this week, for the whole week long, we are going to be covering Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, book number 2 in the Stormlight Archives. The second thing I want to let you guys know or remind you is that this whole week is going to be filled with spoilers for this book. So if you have not read this book, then yeah, tread with caution, I suppose, because I am going to go into spoilers all week long. I'm about to do another video, so I just figured I might as well do my reading update over here. First thing I want to update you guys on, because I've got a couple of things to discuss, is that I've done some more rearranging of my bookshelves. As I say, I always do it, and it's November, so it was time for a change. Also, my Brandon Sanderson shelf, as you can tell, has gone through a bit of a change. I only have the Cosmere books on this shelf now. All of Brandon Sanderson's YA books that I've read just so happen to be sci-fi books, so they've now been placed up here in my sci-fi section. The next thing that I need to update you guys on is the fact that I got a delivery today. Ding ding ding! The Words of Radiance one book binder, hardcover edition, has now been shipped to me from the States, so I do now have this in my possession. This is the book I have been reading from, Words of Radiance Part 1. I am currently there, which is 337 pages in, which if you're following along via chapters is chapter 25. Let's hold up this book and use this one to talk about the reading vlog, because this is the pretty version. Patton saying to Shallan that she could possibly be a member of the Knights Radiance. Oh my goodness, because she took an oath. I need to know more about this. They end up coming across these two separate groups that seem to be hunting them down. One seems to be a group of bandits and the other seems to be a caravanning group, and Shallan finagles her way very, very well, I have to say. I mean, I love this character, and you can see why. She's so intelligent to combine those two with her group to get her to the Shattered Plains. So now we're of one much larger group. Tin. So Tin is from that caravanning crew, and originally when Shallan made the offer for them to join forces, Tin laughed her off, but then events happened and now she is part of that crew with them, and Tin talks to Shallan and thinks that Shallan is actually pulling a con and she wants into the con. Shallan obviously is not pulling a con, but she is happy to take Tin on board because she believes she can learn a lot from Tin. We go back into Shallan's past when she was younger, and it seems that her father has killed her mother, and Shallan basically stopped speaking from that point on. And one day she's in the kitchen area and her brother comes in and has a bit of a chat with her. He seems like a really great guy. The father walks in and the brother and the father start having a bit of an argument. And then the brother summons a Shardblade. What? Where did this come from? So the father is, of course, shocked and going from being a demanding, overbearing tyrant of a father to, like, whoa, where did the Shardblade come from, son? And yeah, basically, brother, Helloran, something like that, is now threatening the father, saying, look, I have important work to do, so I have to go, but you be a good man and you do good things because I'm going to come back and check on you, which makes me really happy. Kaladin then chooses to confide in Dalinar about what was going on with Amaran when he was a slave and all that stuff that happened that we found out about in book number 1. I love when these connections are made, and how he killed that guy who had the shard blade, and so the rightful bearer of the Shardblade should have been Kaladin, but of course Amaran claimed it for himself. So Kaladin is confiding this in Dalinar, and Dalinar says to him, well, do you have any actual physical proof of this? Because it's a very dangerous accusation, especially considering that we have Amaran here right now. And of course Kaladin says, well, no, not really. So Dalinar doesn't really think much of it. Hopefully more will come of that soon. But in the meantime, Assassin is in the castle trying to get to the king. So Kaladin runs to the king to find out that everyone's fine and no one is there. But he comes to find out later that the railing of the balcony that the king stands out on usually has been broken. And so what has happened, Kaladin and Dalinar start piecing this together, which I love that they're working together now. It really goes to show that Dalinar really wants to work with Kaladin. It wasn't an empty promise, and I really love that. So please don't betray Kaladin, Dalinar, because you'll rip my heart out at this point. So they start discussing how this could possibly happen, and what they both figure out is that it looks like the railing of the balcony was weakened by the only object that could have done as such, a shard blade, which really minimizes down the possibilities of who it could be. Can anyone say Amaran? I have been reading basically from the moment I got up till now. I'm now here with my part 1 version, which is 524 pages in, and with my one book bind up, I am there, which is 479 pages in. I'm up to chapter 42. I'm loving this book, and that's why I've read so much today. I have to start off by giving Rock a special shout out. Kaladin's still trying to work out the extent of his storm powers. And then his storm powers run out or drain from him, and so he falls on the floor, and Rock says, "Oh, you fell, but you didn't fall on your face, and that would have been more entertaining, so you only get a soft clap." Oh my gosh, I also love Patton. Patton makes me laugh now all the time. And, more importantly, Shallan and Kaladin's perspectives have merged more than once. Shallan said, "Boots. I will only be good if you give me your boots." So he gives her his boots, and then she arrives in the Shattered Plains, and Kaladin's there. And they have a banter. Oh my gosh, I couldn't stop laughing. Because Kaladin, he's so witty, but then Shallan is so witty also, so they're just going back and forth and back and forth, and each jibe at the other gets better and better and better. Oh, speaking of which, that reveal, that when we found out that Tin was the assassin that killed Princess friggin' Yasna, oh my god, I had a moment. I mean, where's Patton when I need him? There is trouble. Yes, there is. Every time that I go to put this book down, something happens, and it makes me just want to keep reading. So I think I will keep reading, at least for another hour, and then I'll kind of take it hour by hour, but I have been fully consumed by this Stormlight Archive world. I am literally only 2 chapters away from being done with part 1, but we're about to lose sunlight, and I wanted to film outside, so let's go through this really quickly. So I just wanted to quickly talk about Shallan. I want to talk about going back into her past. We went back about 3 years ago, where there was a scene involving her father. This guy was vicious. He was a monster. Oh my goodness. How Shallan survived her life growing up, I don't know. We also had a very heartwarming scene where she saves her brother Jushu, which, what a nice name. Oh my gosh, that moment when she saved him and she gave the guys the daggers and the necklace, and they gave her the necklace back, which was nice, but then they cut him free and let him go. Oh, she's a good sister. So back into the present, and Shallan has had some moments with Adolin. They're having a date and, you know, having nice conversation over a bottle of wine. And what I love is how much Adolin really appreciates Shallan. Shallan has come up with questions and comments that none of the other women he's dated have ever done. They're really opening up to each other, which is really beautiful to see. But Brando Sando seems to be redeeming Adolin at the moment, so I do appreciate that. I'm currently 638 pages in to part 1, which, as I said, I'm literally only 2 chapters away. Not since Mistborn really any of them, but I'm gonna say notably The Final Empire. Have I read a book that you have to pry out of my hands for me to step away from? Okay, we need to talk about this book. So currently I'm there, which is 210 pages into part 2 of Words of Radiance. So I was telling you guys yesterday how I was just filming because the sun was going in and that, you know, I'd been reading for a while and I couldn't put this book down. I kept reading after we were done with that video. And oh my gosh, I kept reading for hours and hours. This book, I think it's safe to say that this is my new favourite book for 2020, which my old favourite is a book I read in February, which is that book, The Final Empire. This book, Words of Radiance, is so good. So let's talk about Kaladin and Adolin and what's going on there. So Adolin ends up proposing a duel against this guy, and he says, I'll fight whoever you bring, and then we go into the duel, and the guy brings 3 other guys with him, so it's just Adolin taking on 4 other guys, and to start with, it seems like Adolin's doing okay, but then he gets in trouble, and then his brother comes out, Renarin. I love Renarin, by the way. New feature to this series, because he wasn't in book 1, but have loved him in this series, in book 2. So then Renarin comes out and tries to help him, but he's not really much of a help. And then Dalinar kind of stands up in the crowd saying, guys, will anyone fight for the honor of, you know, the kingdom? And no one will. And then just when it seems like there's no hope left, Kaladin jumps in. Oh my gosh, I love Kaladin. So Kaladin starts fighting against the other guys, and eventually it takes a long time, and it is an epic battle that kept me entertained from start to end. And this is what I mean about action-packed scenes. Now that I know enough about Kaladin and Adolin and Renarin, I'm invested enough in them to feel so much with this battle that's going on. So we finally get to the end of the battle, and Kaladin and Adolin win. Because the king was so impressed by the fact that Adolin won, he gave Adolin a boom, I think it's called, which is the chance to make any request of the king and it will be obeyed because he impressed the king that much with his fighting. And so they had planned this beforehand, Adolin and Dalinar. And Adolin says, okay, I ask for the right to challenge, and I challenge High Prince Sadeas to a duel. Yay, that was good. But then Kaladin jumped in, because Adolin was meant to say, I challenge High Prince Sadeas to a duel right now. I don't remember if he got that out or not. But then Kaladin jumps in and says, and for my boon, I challenge High Prince Amaran. I challenge Brightness Amaran, who made me a slave, and da-da-da. Which, oh my gosh, like, I have all these feelings, like, yes, you go guys, let's do this, oh my god, yay. And then the next thing you know, these guards are coming to arrest Kaladin, and it's like, what? Hang on, why are guards approaching? Didn't the king just grant Kaladin a boon? So whatever he says has to be accepted? I don't know what's going on. And the next thing we know, the guards have arrested him and they're taking him to a holding place, and we're in this room where Kaladin has been chained up to a chair, and Dalinar and the king are talking about what to do with Kaladin, and I'm still thinking, hang on, but you just granted him the right to do what he wants to do. Why has he been arrested? It doesn't make sense. What's going on here, Brandon Sanson? Anyway, and the king says, you know, this guy has disgraced the kingdom, Dalinar, and I don't know why you thought that you could trust him, and that's it, I'm going to have him executed. And Dalinar kind of worked against the king, saying, well, why would you execute him? You did, you know, grant him this boon, so, but, you know, he disgraced him, da 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 da. And so they keep fighting, and Dalinar says, you know, Your Majesty, or Your Brightness, or whatever you call them in this world, I don't think that you're making the right decision. And the king says, oh, are you questioning me, Dalinar? After all, I am your king. And Dalinar says, well, if you are going to execute this guy who has done so much good for me and for our kingdom, then yes, I do respect you, but yes, I would say that that is not the right decision to be making. And Dalinar, I'm loving him more and more as time goes by. And the king finally says, oh, fine, imprisonment. I never thought a book would surpass the Final Empire. But Words of Radiance, I think it's done it. I'm getting really close to finishing Words of Radiance. I'm currently there, which is 312 pages in, or if you prefer, chapter 73, which I'll show you. Yeah. 73. Or in the one book bind up, which you haven't seen for a while. I am there. Chapter 73. Oh my gosh. I feel like every single time I'm coming to you guys for an update, I'm saying, oh my gosh, this book is amazing, but it just keeps getting better and better and better every single time I'm coming to you guys. I have a much better update to give you guys, and I mean, I loved Brandon Sanderson way before I started reading the Stormlight Archives, but I feel like the Stormlight Archives is probably his greatest series, and that is saying something, because you know how much I used to say Mistborn was the best series, Mistborn Era 1. Stormlight Archives is epic, but it's so good. Alright, so picking up from where we left off, Kaladin was released from prison, and that's, yay, that's a good thing. Then we found out, which, bless, I found this to be so funny, that Adolin, however you pronounce it, apparently said, so long as he, Kaladin, is going to be in prison, I am going to be in prison as well. So he put himself, Adolin put himself in prison. I love it. It's so good. And the back and forth banter between Kaladin and Adolin as they're both leaving prison to go back to the war camp is so funny, because Kaladin can smell cologne on Adolin, and he says, what, you're wearing cologne in there? And Adeline says, well, yes, dear Bridgman, I might be in prison, but doesn't mean that I have to smell bad. I love the way these people speak. I don't know what time period this world is set in. It's high fantasy, so we can't really deduce it because, you know, completely new world. But the way they talk, it's so proper. All of the rest of Bridge 4 and the other crews are crammed into a room to celebrate that Kaladin has been released from prison. Adolin walks in and decides to announce that because he won the Shard Blades and the Shard armor that he won from that massive jewel that we spoke about yesterday, that he was giving away certain shard armors here and there, but he was going to give away the final shard blade, oh my god, to Kaladin. But Kaladin, because of his PTSD with shard blades, has basically said, look, thank you, I appreciate that. Moash, here's a shard blade. To which, of course, Adelin's like, can we talk for a moment? I thought, come on, Adolin, be the good man you've become in this book, because I had this feeling that Adolin would turn around and say, you know what, I revoke this and I'm taking the sharp blade back. But he did not. He said, okay, well, if this is what Kaladin wishes, then Moash, the shard blade is yours. Oh my god, what a wonderful moment. The bridge collapses and everyone falls into the chasm, and we don't know who's alive and who's dead, but there are two people who are alive, and that is Kaladin and Shallan. And wouldn't you know it, their moments have now merged, because they're the only two people alive that they know of, and so they're traversing through the chasms together trying to get out. Oh my gosh, the back and forth banter between these two was so good. And again, with the language, the way these people speak. Paladin says to her in a attempt at positivity, you know what, I was meant to be working today, and now I get to have a day off. And Shallan says to him, yeah, to go swimming, because of the storm. Ah, so good. And then there's a moment where Kaladin's calling out to see if anyone can hear him. You know, picture the whole Titanic. Is anyone alive out there? But upwards, you know. Can anyone hear us? We're trapped down here. And they keep going forth making all these bad puns. And then Kaladin says, is anyone out there? We're alive down here making bad puns. This book needs to be read by everyone. It may be a 1,000-page book, but it is so good. Brandon Sanderson deserves every single accolade that he has ever been given for all the books that he has written, but particularly for Words of Radiance. This is officially my favorite book of 2020. I never thought anything would take over the Final Empire, but this book has done it. I really wanted to be outside for this update, but the sun has just set, so we just don't have light, and I missed it by this much, which is kind of annoying. But I have some news. I have finished Words of Radiance. This book is my favorite book of the entire year by far and away. Words of Radiance, we now have 4 Nights of Radiance, which is, oh my gosh. So we have Kaladin, Shallan, Renarin, I have to remember his name because he's new in this book, so Renarin and Dalinar are the Knights of Radiance. Oh my god. And Syl dying, supposedly, and then coming back, and all the things that we found out about Patton. Oh my god, oh my god, I did not expect that about Patton. And then at the end, just when you think there isn't going to be another twist, Yasna is alive? What? What did I miss? Yasna's alive. I mean, I'm happy about the fact that Yasna's alive because yay. But this book, from the action-packed scenes to the humorous moments, this book from page 1 all the way through to the end is absolutely incredible and undoubtedly is my favorite book of the year. Thank you so much for sharing my journey with this book this week. I can't believe I finished it in a week, but that's how good it was. This book took me a week and a half to finish, and it has less pages than this book, which took me a week to finish. This is my favorite book of the year, and I never thought I was going to have a book that would beat the Final Empire. I need Oathbringer. I need it now, and it's not going to happen. So I have the rest of my TBR to get through, and I'm okay with that. But I can't wait to get to December and read Oathbringer. But 5 stars. This was absolutely incredible. This book has now arrived, the Christmas box by Richard Paul Evans. I'm so happy it arrived. Yay! My December TBR is pretty much almost ready to go, and we're only a week into November. So what am I going to read for next week? So next week I'm going to start Allegiant. And then after I finish this book, I'm going to read The Toll, which is the 3rd book in the Arc of a Side series. So both of these books will help me to finish off those 2 series. That's what next week's reading vlog is going to cover. Both of these books, starting with Allegiant, and then when this book is done, we'll get on to The Toll. But that is where I am going to leave it, letting you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'll see you again soon. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching, and happy reading. Bye guys. Bye.